You're sitting in a dark room, phone in hand. Your fingers mindlessly scroll through old messages, old photos that once meant everything to you. Your heart tightens, your mind spirals with the same question over and over again. Why can't I stop thinking about them? You know they hurt you. You know they manipulated you, pulled you into a whirlwind of lies, false promises, and disappointment. But despite all of that, they still live in your mind, occupying every empty space in your thoughts, haunting you even in your sleep. This isn't just pain, this is a mental trap, an endless loop, and you're not the only one stuck in it. Pause for a moment and ask yourself, do you really miss them, or are you obsessed with how they made you feel? Think about it. They gave you the highest highs only to drag you down into the deepest lows. They made you addicted to waiting, to hoping that things would change. But it was all just a game, a cycle of emotional manipulation where they held the power and you were caught in it without even realizing. The usual advice doesn't work. Block them, but you still think about them. Just distract yourself. But when night falls, you're alone with your thoughts again. Love yourself more, but you don't even recognize who you are anymore. No, that's not the way out. Today, I'm going to show you the truth about this obsessive thought loop. We're going to uncover why you can't stop thinking about the narcissist, and more importantly, how to break free from it for good. If you're ready to take back control of your mind, to stop the obsession, to finally move forward, then stay with me until the end of this video, because this will be the last time you ever have to struggle with the question, why can't I forget them? Now let's begin the journey to breaking free. You open your eyes, a new day begins, but everything feels exactly the same as yesterday. They are still in your head. You've cut off contact. You've deleted their number, blocked them on social media, and avoided everything that reminds you of them. But no matter what you do, your mind won't let go. It's like an open wound that refuses to heal. Just when you think you're moving forward, a memory pulls you back. A song on the radio, a place you once went together, their name appearing unexpectedly, and suddenly, you're right back in that bottomless pit of obsessive thoughts. You can't stop replaying everything. You remember every word they said, every glance, every touch that made you believe you were special. And then the doubts creep in. Was I wrong? Was I too sensitive? Did they really love me and I just ruined everything? And just like that, you trap yourself in questions that have no answers. But let me tell you the truth. You are not crazy, you are not weak, you are not alone. Millions of people have experienced exactly what you're feeling right now. And if there's one thing I want you to understand, it's this. You are not obsessed with them. You are obsessed with how they made you feel. How did they do that? They turned you into a hostage of your own emotions. 1. The psychological manipulation behind your obsession. Think of a gambler in a casino. Gamblers aren't addicted to money, they are addicted to the unpredictability of the outcome. When they win, their brain releases dopamine, creating an intense high. When they lose, they can't accept it. They keep playing, hoping to win back what they lost. And you know what's worse? The system is rigged for them to lose. The narcissist does the exact same thing to you. They give you an intense dopamine rush when they make you feel like you are the most important person in the world, but just when you think you finally have them, they pull away. They turn cold, distant, even cruel. You feel confused, heartbroken, desperate, and then, just when you're about to walk away, they come back, offering you just enough love, just enough attention to keep you hanging on. That's not love. That's a trap. You're not obsessed with them because they are special. You're obsessed because your brain has been hacked. You are caught in a cycle of reward and punishment, constantly waiting for change, for answers, for a happy ending, but that ending will never come. 2. Why common advice doesn't work. Maybe you've heard this advice before. Just distract yourself. But as soon as you have a quiet moment, they're right back in your head. Block them. But even if you don't see them, they still live in your memory. Time will heal everything. But how long has it been? And why are you still stuck in this loop? That kind of advice may work for normal breakups, but with a narcissist, it's a completely different story. When a normal relationship ends, the emotions gradually fade. But when a relationship with a narcissist ends, you don't just lose a person, you lose yourself. They manipulated you into believing that only they could fill the void inside you. They programmed you to think that you are not good enough, not worthy enough without them. And that is why you can't stop thinking about them. Because deep down, you are not just searching for them, you are searching for yourself. 3. You're not crazy. You're in a psychological war. Now, imagine this. You're trapped in a tiny boat, lost in the middle of the ocean. Water is leaking in. You panic trying to scoop it out, but the boat keeps sinking. You start losing strength. And then, in the distance, you see them, standing on a giant, powerful ship. They look down at you, reach out their hand, and flash that familiar smile. They make you believe that they are the only ones who can save you. But do you see what's really happening? They were the ones who drilled holes in your boat in the first place. The truth is, you don't need them. You can save yourself, but first you must stop waiting for them to come back and fix what they broke. You must realize that your freedom doesn't come from getting answers from them. It comes from reclaiming control over your own mind. And that's exactly what I'm going to help you do in this video. Take a deep breath. You've suffered long enough. It's time to break free from this cycle of obsessive thoughts. So what's the first step? Let's dive in and find out. You've realized that your thoughts are no longer under your control. No matter how hard you try, your mind keeps circling back to them, their words, their actions, the memories that should have faded by now but still haunt you. You want to move on, but it feels like you're being pulled back into the obsession. But this is not your fault. Not because you are weak, not because you haven't tried hard enough. You are trapped by a psychological mechanism that the narcissist implanted in you. And if you don't fully understand how it operates, you will continue wandering in the dark, trying to fight it with sheer willpower, only to end up exhausted, frustrated, and stuck in the same place. Today you will understand why you are obsessed and, more importantly, how to break free from this cycle once and for all. This is not about cliches like just forget them or time will heal. If it were that simple, you wouldn't still be here searching for answers. Instead, we will dive deep into the workings of your mind, dismantle the psychological chains the narcissist has placed on you, and step by step help you reclaim your life. Why do they still haunt your thoughts? Before you can break free, you need to understand exactly why your brain is stuck in this loop. Even though you logically know they don't deserve your energy, the human brain operates on a reward-seeking system. When we experience something pleasurable, our brain releases dopamine, a neurotransmitter that creates feelings of happiness and motivation. The narcissist exploited this system to create an emotional addiction within you. At first, they made you feel like the most special person in the world. They showered you with compliments, affection, and validation. You felt like you had finally found something rare, something no one else could offer. But just when you started to trust them, they pulled away. They became cold, distant, indifferent. You were left confused, hurt, and, most importantly, craving the initial euphoria they gave you. This is how the narcissist locks you into an endless loop. They lift you up and then tear you down, creating a cycle of pain and relief that makes you addicted to the emotional highs they provide. And when they leave, you don't just miss them, you miss the way they made you feel. It's the same mechanism that keeps gamblers hooked in a casino. When they win, they experience euphoria. When they lose, they can't accept it and keep playing, hoping to get that high again. But as we all know, the system is designed for them to lose. With the narcissist, the game is never in your favor. You are not obsessed with them because they are special. You are obsessed because your brain has been programmed to crave their validation. And if you don't recognize this, you will remain stuck in an endless spiral, breaking the psychological spell. Letting go of the need for closure. One of the biggest reasons you can't stop thinking about them is that you are still searching for answers. Did they ever really love me? What did I do wrong? Was I not enough? Do they miss me? But this is the trap. Because no answer will ever bring you peace, there is no logical explanation for why someone manipulates, deceives, or abuses others, except for the fact that it is simply who they are. The narcissist doesn't love anyone but themselves. They do not regret, They do not think about you the way you think about them. So here's what you need to understand. You do not need answers to move on. You don't need them to explain themselves. You don't need them to acknowledge your pain. You don't need them to change or feel remorse. Imagine standing in front of a locked door. You keep knocking, hoping someone will answer, but no one does. You could spend your whole life standing there waiting for that door to open, or you could turn around and walk away. Tell yourself, I accept that I will never receive an explanation that satisfies me. I do not need them to feel whole. Repeat this daily. It will help you detach emotionally and mentally from them, changing the way you tell your story. You cannot change the past, but you can change how you tell it to yourself. If you keep seeing yourself as the victim, you will continue feeling powerless. But if you shift your perspective, you will realize that you were not abandoned, you were set free. Instead of saying, I lost the love of my life, say, I escaped from a toxic relationship, I can't stop thinking about them. Say, I am learning to love myself without needing their validation. They are probably happy with someone else now. My happiness does not depend on them. The way you talk to yourself becomes your reality. Change your story and you will change how you feel. Stop obsessing by taking deliberate action. You cannot just sit back and hope that thoughts of them will disappear on their own. You must actively create new mental pathways. Start by building a life that has no room for them. If they were part of your daily routines, create new habits that replace those moments. If they were in your physical space, reorganize your environment so nothing reminds you of them. If they controlled your emotions, engage in activities that make you feel in charge of your own happiness. One of the most powerful ways to do this is the 30-day no-contact challenge. Every time you catch yourself about to talk about them, stop and redirect your focus to something productive. It'll be hard at first, but over time, you will notice the obsession fading, mastering your inner dialogue to break the loop. When thoughts of them arise, instead of forcing yourself to stop thinking, ask yourself, why am I thinking about them right now? Is this thought helping me in any way? Do I want to stay trapped in this cycle forever? You will quickly realize that thinking about them serves no real purpose anymore. The more you challenge these thoughts, the faster you will break free from them. Final truth. Moving on isn't about forgetting. It's about not caring anymore. Many people believe that their goal is to forget the narcissist. But you don't actually need to forget them. What you truly want is to get to a place where, when you think of them, it doesn't affect you anymore. You don't have to erase your memories. You simply have to reach a point where those memories hold no emotional power over you. That is when you know you are truly free. You're on your healing journey. You've started to understand that you don't want to stay trapped in obsessive thoughts about the narcissist. You're learning to let go. But just when you think you've finally escaped, something pulls you back in. You ask yourself, why do I still feel this way? Why am I still thinking about them? Why can't I fully move on? What you're experiencing is not failure, it's part of the process. But if you're not careful, you might unknowingly fall into invisible traps, the kind that keep you stuck even when you think you've left. Narcissists don't just control you through their actions while you're in the relationship. Even after they're gone, the psychological imprint they left behind can make you hold yourself hostage. They are no longer present, but their manipulation tactics still live within you. Let's expose the most dangerous traps survivors of narcissistic abuse tend to fall into, and, more importantly, how to avoid them. 1. Believing you need closure from them. One of the most dangerous traps is the belief that you need a final answer from them in order to move on. You might think that if you could just talk to them one last time, if they could explain why they did what they did, if they could admit their mistakes, if they could confirm that they did love you, then you would finally be able to let go. But this is an illusion. The truth is, there will never be an answer that satisfies you. Narcissists do not operate the way you do. They are not interested in giving you clarity or helping you close this chapter in your life. The only thing they care about is maintaining power over you. If you seek closure from them, They will use it as an opportunity to manipulate you all over again. They might deny everything, making you feel like your entire experience was a lie. They might blame you, making you feel worse instead of better. They might fake remorse, only to pull you back into their cycle of manipulation. You do not need an explanation to move on. You do not need their validation. Your freedom does not come from their answers. It comes from your decision to never let them control you again. 2. Thinking they will be better for someone else. One of the most painful thoughts that can keep you trapped is the idea that they will change and become a better person for someone new. You see them happy on social media. You hear that they are treating their new partner well, while you're left struggling with the damage they caused. You start wondering, was I the problem? Were they actually a good person, but I just wasn't enough? Here's the truth. Narcissists do not change. They are not becoming a better person, they are simply playing a different role. What you are seeing is just the love-bombing phase repeating itself with a new victim. They are doing the exact same things they did with you until the cycle of abuse begins again. You were not the problem, you were simply one of their targets. The new person will eventually go through the same experience you did, and when that happens, the narcissist will move on to their next victim. You don't need to follow their story anymore. You don't need to check on what they're doing. The only thing that matters is focusing on your own life and refusing to compare your healing journey to anyone else's. 3. Trying to figure them out like a puzzle. Survivors of narcissistic abuse often make one critical mistake. They believe that if they can understand the narcissist, they can free themselves from the pain. You might spend hours reading about narcissistic psychology, watching videos, researching manipulation tactics. You want to find the pattern, to know why they did what they did, to analyze them so deeply that you can finally make sense of everything. But here's what you need to know. You cannot decode a narcissist because they do not follow normal human logic. The more you try to analyze them, the more you are keeping them alive in your mind. You are spending your energy thinking about them rather than directing that energy toward your own healing. You do not need to understand them. You only need to understand what you deserve, and that is certainly not them. 4. Blaming yourself for what happened. When leaving a narcissistic relationship, one of the most common traps is blaming yourself for how things ended. You might think that if you had just acted differently, if you had been more patient, if you had loved them the right way, maybe things could have been different. But here's the truth. Nothing you could have done would have changed how they treated you. Narcissists do not abuse you because of who you are. They abuse you because it is in their nature. Everything you did in that relationship was not a mistake. You tried, you loved with your whole heart, but loving a narcissist is like pouring water into a bottomless cup. No matter how much you give, it will never be enough. Do not blame yourself for trying. Be proud of yourself for leaving. 5. Waiting for an apology to move on. Many people struggle to move on because they are still waiting for an apology from the narcissist. They believe that if the narcissist could just admit what they did, if they could acknowledge the pain they caused, if they could show real remorse, then maybe they could finally heal. But you need to understand one thing. You will never get a genuine apology from them. Narcissists do not take responsibility for their actions. They do not feel guilt the way you do, and if they do apologize, it is only a manipulation tactic to pull you back in. You do not need an apology to heal. You only need to give yourself permission to let them go. You've come a long way. You now understand the traps that kept you stuck. You've seen the narcissist for who they truly are, and you've realized that no apology, no explanation will ever set you free. But knowing is one thing, putting it into action is another challenge entirely. This is where you need a concrete strategy, rooted in the research and insights of the world's greatest psychologists. These are the minds who have spent their lives studying how humans process trauma, escape obsession, and rebuild their lives. Let's go deeper, not just to understand, but to truly transform. 1. Identifying and breaking the trauma bond. You're not obsessed because of love. You're obsessed because of a dangerous psychological mechanism known as trauma bonding. According to psychologist Patrick Carnes, Trauma bonding occurs when you are caught in a cycle of love, pain, conditioning your brain to attach to the very person who hurts you. This is no different from how a gambler gets addicted to a casino, always waiting for the next win. So, how do you break free? The first step is recognition. Write down every moment they hurt you, every false promise, every time they made you feel worthless. Read it every day until you stop romanticizing them. As psychologist Dr. Ramani Durvasula puts it, don't remember the good moments with a narcissist. Remember the moment they made you feel like nothing. That is the truth. 2. Redefining how you see yourself. Leaving a narcissist often leaves you questioning your own worth. They have conditioned you to believe you are not enough, you are not important, you cannot succeed without them. But here's the truth. You did not lose your worth. You simply lost someone who could never see it. Psychologist Carl Rogers, the father of humanistic therapy, once said, "The curious paradox is that when I accept myself just as I am, then I can change." Healing doesn't come from trying to prove yourself to anyone. It comes from accepting yourself, loving yourself, and never allowing anyone to define you again. 3. Rebuilding a life where they no longer exist. You cannot forget them if your life still revolves around them. Psychologist Jordan Peterson once said, "If you want to change your life, start by cleaning your room." It may sound simple, but your environment has a direct impact on your psychology. If you still have objects that remind you of them, remove them. If you are still following them on social media, block them today. If you allow them to be the center of your daily conversations, change the subject or walk away when their name comes up. Every small shift in your daily life helps reprogram your brain to create a new reality, one where they no longer exist. 4. Stop fighting your thoughts. Learn to observe them. You can't force your mind to stop thinking about someone, but you can change how you respond to those thoughts. Psychologist Eckhart Tolle, author of The Power of Now, said, "You are not your thoughts. You are the observer of them." Each time thoughts of them arise, instead of panicking and trying to push them away, do this. Pause, close your eyes, observe the thought. Tell yourself, "This is just a thought, it has no power over me." Immediately shift your focus to a tangible action. Deep breathing, standing up and moving, doing something else to redirect your attention. You will realize that thoughts only have power if you let them control you. Once you learn to observe without reacting, they will start to lose their grip. 5. Join a support community. Healing is not meant to be a solo journey. Psychologist Bessel van der Kolk, author of The Body Keeps the Score, has spent decades studying trauma and found that connecting with others who share your experience is one of the fastest ways to heal. You don't have to go through this alone. There are millions of people who have been exactly where you are. There is a community ready to listen, support you, and help you build a new future. You are ready to move forward. Don't do it alone. You have come a long way. You've started to recognize the narcissist's manipulation, you've learned which traps to avoid, and you are slowly reclaiming control over your life. But don't stop here. If you are ready to step into the next chapter of your life, a chapter free from obsession, free from past wounds, join our support community. Let us walk this journey with you. Share your story with people who have stood where you stand. Subscribe to this channel today and join our support group through the link in the video description. You are not alone anymore. Move forward, stronger than ever.